Yeah.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Ko puta ki te maunga, ko rangitai ki te awa, ko mātātua te waka, ko nā te awa te iwi. Ko Kelleigh aho. Basically, what I've just said to you is a traditional Māori introduction to my speech, in introducing myself. Right now, you guys have been metaphorically placed in 3 categories. Some of you understood every single word I said, ka pai you. You are in category 1. Others have heard this form of introduction before, in those boring speech competitions we were forced to endure during primary. You recognise words and understand bits of it. Not all, but enough to feel smart. Welcome to category 2. If you did not fit into those 2 categories, you, my friend, are in the I did not understand any of that, so I'll sit here for the next 7 minutes pretending I did category, also known as category 3. Now, I'm not against you category 3 chumps, but I'm here to help you and our future generations. I'm here to convey my opinions as why te reo Māori should be compulsory in schools. Let me say this again, this is my opinion. If you don't like it, I don't care. I will cover 3 segments throughout this speech. Why I support making te reo compulsory, why I think other Kiwis should support this idea, and how this relates to NZ and the outer world. I myself am a proud descendant of Māori. I have a lot of pride and respect for my culture, and it is the foundation of New Zealand's history and is everything we are made of. I feel we owe it to our ancestors who came before us and those who fought for our freedom to keep our language alive and make it strong again. Māori culture is New Zealand's crowning glory, yet we seem to not have enough time to keep the most important part of this culture alive. But we have enough time to go singing practice, which in all honesty, no one wants to go to. The one disappointment I have with who I am as a Māori person is the fact that I do not speak Māori. Sure, I may know more Māori than the average Kiwi, but is that really enough to wholeheartedly say, I speak Māori? No, I don't think so. When I go to the marae and hear our nannies and koros speak from their hearts in our mother tongue, I want to look at them and understand the beautiful stories they are trying to tell, the lifelong lessons they are trying to install within us. When a waiata is being sung, I want to stand up and sing with every ounce of pride I have and feel the words connect with my heart. Māori is a culture that requires a lot of mana and heart, a lot of which is shown through kapahaka and performing arts. Watching amazing kapahaka or performing it yourself, you feel an immense amount of pride, but not understanding all that is happening or the messages trying to be conveyed through such beautiful art, and it leaves room for disappointment within ourselves. It may not be much to some of you, but to myself it is everything that I am and everything I want to be. It was never made compulsory for me to learn Māori when I was younger, but I wish it was. So far, my reasonings have been self-absorbed, and you probably don't care for my own wants, so now I will move on to why other Kiwis should support this idea. I know there are not only Māori people who live in New Zealand, and I respect all the different cultures inhabiting our great country. Some of my best friends don't have any ounce of Māori in them, but one thing I think most of us can agree on is we are all proud Kiwis, and with being a Kiwi at one time or another, you're going to have some sort of experience with te reo, and think learning it younger will benefit us all in the long run. You see, New Zealand is 2 tiny islands stuck close together at the bottom of the earth, just before Antarctica, right next to the big landmass we call Australia. And it is a pity that this is how most people outside Oceania know us for, if they even know us at all. A lot of you know Autumn is on exchange in Brazil, and she has been asked some very strange questions about New Zealand because there are a few people in the world who even know our country exists. She was once asked how long the bridge was to Australia, was from Australia and to New Zealand, and if in New Zealand we speak New Zealandish. She talks about how no one knows who we are, but those very few who know of our very small country only know 2 things, being somewhere by Australia and rugby. Associated with rugby is the haka. When people ask what language the haka is, she replies Māori. After that brings the following question. Is that the official language of New Zealand? And then can you translate that to English? She couldn't. She had no idea of the translation, and people asked, why would you guys have a language that no one even knows? The first time someone asked her that, she felt embarrassed because the one thing she could be proud of from her country that people actually knew about, she couldn't even explain. Our heads are just filled with these empty words that are used as our New Zealand identifier, derived from Māori language, but we don't offer them any meaning if we don't take the time to learn it. English is the international language of the world. Most countries have their own identifiable official language and learn English as well. Imagine having our own language, being able to communicate with each other in our own way, but also being connected to the rest of the world with English. I don't know about you, being able to go to Australia and speak another language while they just sit there being basic with their English sounds pretty good to me. I want Kiwis to go out into the world and be proud of where we are from, be able to identify ourselves with our own language, linking back to where we started as a nation. I'm not saying make this our first language, but I'm saying give us the opportunity to get ourselves out there and make ourselves known, be unique in the best way, and pay our respects to the history of our Māori people. The last point I want to cover is how this issue stretches beyond our walls. I know I'm discussing Te Reo Māori becoming compulsory in New Zealand schools, but I want to give you an insight into what could possibly happen if we do not try and keep our language alive. A lot of countries around the world have native tribes and languages that have completely died out due to no one learning the culture, language and customs. In Brazil, there are people who are descended from a tribe called Tupi, but they no longer maintain the traditions or language of their tribe, as it is the forgotten tribe. Could you imagine a whole race or culture being wiped out or forgotten because no one took the time to learn it? Or worse, your own culture being wiped out. I know I have already low-key mentioned the numerous times throughout this speech, but besides the fact that Te Reo Māori is dying out is also the closest thing we have to making our country identified as our own and separating us from Australia, offering us the opportunity to grow out of their shadow. If we were to let our language die now, eventually the culture will disappear too. And are you prepared for when in 100 years' time they look back and think, I come from a country called New Zealand, but you might as well call us Australia because we're exactly the same. I don't know about you, but when my moko puna 100 years down the line talk about where they're from, I want them to utter the words ahau I Aotearoa. I am from New Zealand with the utmost pride. Even if you don't agree in making it compulsory in secondary school, I think it should be at least compulsory until year 8. Don't be a category 3 chump. Help bring our culture back to life. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou koutou.